cool. So we have lots of different teaching positions and librarians and Bonner and Ronan. Cool, very awesome. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and introduce myself to those of you that didn't meet me in the last session. And drop that down here. I'm getting a little bit better at this. See, I'm learning something new. I'm learning how to use Zoom today. So even your trainers are learning stuff. Actually, I'm not a Zoomer because we used Google Meets for the whole last 3 months of school. So perfect. All right, I am in the wrong slide. Here we go, student feedback. My name is Deanna Horsens, and I teach at Florence Carleton Schools. I currently teach 3rd grade, and I was in middle school for almost 15 years before that. And I also help the district with some of their technology integration and training for the teachers. I just, why is this not, oh, there we go. I just returned in January from a year-long sabbatical in New Zealand. I taught at I would say there was probably 60 to 70% native New Zealanders at the school that I taught at. Well, maybe not all native New Zealanders. We had Tongans, Samoans, Niuean, Cook Island students, Chinese, Vietnamese, and all kinds of, it was really awesome in terms of ethnicity and background. And it was awesome. My husband worked at a helicopter rescue base there. And that's the only one that they have for New Zealand. He was fortunate to get that job when we got over there. I have 2 sons, Andrew and Ethan. They are 8th grade and 9th grade, and they spent a year, this picture, they look nothing like that anymore. Oh my goodness. It's amazing how much they grow in 1 year. Andrew is almost 6 feet tall now. This picture was taken a year and a half ago. That's it, when we first arrived in New Zealand. And they spent a huge year of growth there. It was awesome for our whole family, professionally and personally.
What?
So I'm gonna go ahead and jump forward into the presentation, and we're gonna be looking at some tools that you can use to really amplify your students' voice and their feedback. And how can you get things from them, not just by asking them questions or writing it down or giving them a quiz, but there are so many tools out there today that we can use to get feedback from them and hear their voice. So if you want to put in the chat here, has anybody used Adobe Spark? I was wondering if anyone's used Adobe Spark with their students, and if so, just give us a little brief. How did you use it? I'm gonna pull this up so I can see what your comments are. Has anyone used it before? I don't want to do any reviews, like too many repeats, a little bit. Oh, you took the Too Classy course with Tony Vincent. Lucky you. I would like to take that course. Oh, you haven't, but you just learned about it in the last session. I guess we're probably all doing a lot of the same tools. Oh, good. Some of you haven't used it. Hey, Kim, you just learned about it in the last session. I was wondering, I'm gonna stop presenting for 1 second in case you want to, how did they present it in the last session? What did you learn about it? If you want to speak.
They just basically told us what it was and gave us time to kind of play around with it a little bit. I didn't get into it too much. My internet's really slow and has been cutting me in and out all day, so I'm excited to hear more about it. It seems like a great tool that we could use, especially for our kids that are going to elect to do online instead of in-person learning this year. So yeah, I'm No, very little, just the brief bit that they talked to us about it.
Cool. I'm going to be brief. I will show you a couple things. I'm going to share my screen again really quick with you, and then I think I'll just take you there. Oh dear, everything has disappeared. Here we go. We're going to just go ahead and I'm going to share with you what it looks like and what you can have your students create. If your school wants to, if you already have, like if you're in a K-12 and you have some Microsoft applications and you're paying for some of those things, Spark comes with some of those suites and you can get a school version of it. You can use the free version forever. I've never had a school version. I think this year our school is actually going to subscribe to it. But you can use the free version of Adobe Spark all you want to make the most amazing things. You can have students make posts for you, posters, videos, little stories, kind of like Instagram stories. But I'm going to go ahead and sign in so you can see. You can just sign in with Google. If you have a Google account at your school, you should always use sign in with Google. That way everything will link. And Adobe Spark is something that makes it real easy for your students because it'll link right to your drive. So if you're a G Suite school, Adobe Spark is the way to go. Now, when I open this up, as you can see, there's all kinds of different things that I can make. So I can make a slideshow, a presentation, a photo collage, a Facebook, Instagram. I was going to ask, what did they share with you? What type of creation did they make in the last session? Did they pick a certain kind, or, because I'm trying not to do too many repeats, but, or did they just do like a, I think it's Kim, is she still here? I lost my chat. Oh, there you are.
Yep, I'm still here, sorry.
No, you're fine, go ahead.
Um,
Did they pick a certain thing that they were showing you so I don't repeat it?
I think they did a slideshow.
Okay,
I'm
I
trying
won't
to
do the slideshow. The slideshow is actually really, really cool, especially for students that, well, I probably will show the slideshow really quick because it's
yeah,
so
I mean,
easy.
anything for me, more is better because you know that first time you
Okay,
get introduced
perfect.
and you're
Let's do that one. Let's do that one then, because it is one of my favorites, but you can do all these other kinds of posts with your students. The reason I love slideshow is because for those students who get too involved in making a Google slideshow and they get stuck on all the little features like, oh, I want this to do this and I want this picture here, and there's too many options for them in Google Slides. There's a time and a place for it, but sometimes you just want to create a slideshow. So when you go to create the slide deck, you can put a title in if you want to. I'm just going to put title here and go to next. And then you can choose a template if you want to choose a template. I'm actually not going to choose a template today. I'm just going to choose the make up my own because I just want to show you the tools. But you have a whole bunch of templates available to you. So when I choose to make my own, it doesn't take 1 second here. I can watch this short video. So when you log in to try this, watch the video. It's really helpful. But I'm going to walk you through really quick. I just want to show you the selling features of this free application with your students, because even your young primary students can use this to make a presentation. So this is the first slide in my deck. And as you can see, it just prompts me, what do you want to add? Do you want to add a photo, some text, or a video? You can add all of these things. I'm going to put title here. And then I should be able to, you can move it around. You can change the size. I can now add a photo. And this is where it gets super cool, is because if I choose to add a photo to this slide, I can upload one from my computer, but probably your students will be on Chromebooks. So if you scroll down to the bottom, you can connect this application to your Google Photos or to your Google Drive. Your students will probably have things in their Google Drive that they might want to add. I'm going to go ahead and link my school account to this here again, because I haven't used this in quite a while. So it usually prompts you to do some of those things. And then you'll notice when I go back over here that it's been connected. It wants me to watch this video really bad, but I have already seen it. So the first time you have to connect it to your drive. Now when I go to add a photo, you can see that it says disconnect. That means that these have already been connected and I am good to go. So a student who's on a Chromebook can really benefit because all they have to do to grab photos is grab them from their drive. The other place they can do is find free stock photos. All of these are for free use. So if I wanted to look up a picture of a dolphin, and I cannot type right now, I could grab any of these photos of a dolphin and throw it into my presentation. There we go. And so they don't have to go outside of this application to search things up. Everything can be done in here, which is awesome because you don't necessarily want kids jumping everywhere. Here we have, we can have our slideshow for a certain number of time each time. This is just the default. And then if we want to add another slide, all we do is click on the add button. You can add as many slides and things as you want. You can also, that's the part about adding the slides. Up here on the top, we have another toolbar. So right now I'm in layout and I'm just in a regular full screen slideshow. Or sorry, this is for this particular slide. I can choose what type of slide that I want. I can have the full screen, the split screen, where I'll throw a photo on, a caption, or a title. If I click on theme, this will change the theme for my entire presentation. So right now you can see I'm kind of on this blue theme, but if I was to change to this sage theme, then you could see it's changed the font here because this is a different font in this theme. So they're really limited on their themes. They just get a few choices, which keeps them from spending too much time formatting things. If I wanted to resize this, my students could create Instagram posts, and that would be a square one instead of a widescreen one. Or if they wanted to put it as an Instagram story, even though they're not using Instagram, this is what the students are on, even the younger students. And so if you even use that word with them, they'll be like, oh yeah, we want to make that. So the very last thing about this real quick before we finish up here in Spark is you can add music to it, and they already have all of this selection for music for you. You don't have to have them go out and find music on the web. If you want to get really picky, you can add your own music. I don't usually let students do that. I make them choose from one of these. And actually, you won't be able to hear this because I don't have my speakers on. But you can scroll through here and pick the different kinds of music that are available. All right, is everyone still with me? Are we still doing okay, Sam? Looks good? Okay, perfect. All right. When I'm completely done with everything, I can download this. I can share it out on the web. I can add, oh, I forgot to show you this part. I can't believe. You can add a collaborator to work on it with you as well, so you can have kids work in teams. It's really simple. It's really fast. If I go to download, I feel like it's going to give me the option of having it go to my Google Drive. I'm on a MacBook, so I don't know if it's going to default not to do that, but I'm going to wait and see here real quick. With students, it automatically goes right to their drive. Okay, so that did default down to my, because I'm not on a Chromebook, but normally it will save it right to their Chromebook. So that is, in a nutshell, a way that you can have students create some type of a presentation to share with you what they've learned in a really cool, creative way with music, and it's fun and snappy.
Deanna,
So,
we do have a question. Could kids
okay.
add their own music to the drive? A music teacher is asking.
Yes, actually, super good question. That would be the perfect application for it. I don't allow kids because I don't want them going and grabbing inappropriate music off of YouTube or wherever they have it stored. But if you go ahead and record it in your music class or at home, you can then use those MP3s, they'll be MP3s, right? you could use those MP3s and you can upload them. Let me show you really quick what that looks like. If you click on Add My Music, you can go down into your computer or your drive and then add your own music, like in an MP3 format. So that would be an amazing application. I didn't even think of that because I don't teach music, obviously. But I love that. I love that idea. That would be awesome. And then they could create their own little presentation or a picture of them with their instrument and then they're just their song playing or something. So lots of really cool ideas. Is there any more questions? Is that the only one? Perfect. Alicia. Yes. Oh, yay. I'm glad you could get in, Rhonda. Perfect. Okay, so in a nutshell, that is Adobe Spark. I am going to jump back to my presentation and move on to another tool for you. Flipgrid. Before I go in too deep with Flipgrid, I wanted to ask if anyone uses it. I know we all used it today. I actually took a couple slides out. I was going to have you guys go to Flipgrid and leave a response, but since we did that this morning, then I wasn't gonna drag us through all of that this afternoon. I'm happy to show you the teacher side of Flipgrid if you'd like to see the platform and the back side of it. I think it is an amazing tool. I used it every single day. Yep, so did Kim. I'm just looking at your comments here in the comment section. If you've used Flipgrid, could you do me a favor in the chat? Will you go ahead and type how you used Flipgrid? Actually, no, let's do this. This is part of my presentation. If you've used Flipgrid, I'm going to go on to the next slide here. We're going to jump on Jamboard, and I'm going to put the link in the chat for you. Hold on, I got to get out of here. Now I'm jumping ahead of myself. I'm going to put a link in the chat to hop on Jamboard so we can talk about Flipgrid if most of you have already used it. Okay, I am in here. I'm going to grab my link to, I'm going to keep my screen up because I actually am going to, I lost my chat again. Oh my gosh, where did it go? Chat, where are you? There we are. Okay, here we go. All right, so in here, I have a link to Jamboard and it should work. Notice I said should. And I'd love for you to jump onto Jamboard and put in here how you use Flipgrid in your classroom or how you've used Flipgrid in your classroom. This year, when I was teaching 3rd grade, I actually used it every single day. We got on and we had kind of a slow chat. It was our morning meeting. We would post a question, and I'm happy to show you what that looks like. And I see people are trying out the tools already. Over here on the left, you'll find all your tools. You've got writing, you've got Post-it notes. I should have stuck on here. I'm gonna write, how do you use Flipgrid in your classroom? All right, and I'm gonna make this pink so everyone can see it, and I'm gonna make it real big. So how do you use it in your classroom? Maybe even throw your grade level in there. I didn't put my grade level on here. We used it every day for our morning meeting. It was amazing, and kids could chat. They could hop in anytime during the day and they could answer the question. We used it in science to share examples of simple machines. Ooh, I bet, did they hold their machines up and everything? Can you tell us about that? Do you want to come? I'm going to stop sharing real quick for 1 second. Oh, then you're not going to be able to see. Wait, maybe I won't do that. Maybe you can just talk, sure, even though we won't be able to see you. That would be awesome. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so as a 3rd grade science unit, I'm a Title I teacher. So as a 3rd grade science unit, they were working on simple machines. And so after the intro of what simple machines were, over the weekend, the kids were tasked with trying to find examples of simple machines around their home and in their environment. And they could either upload a picture or make a video or just type their responses. And it was pretty user-friendly. Kids got, even at like our first grade level and kindergarten families with a kindergarten students with assistance of their parents got super comfortable with Flipgrid.
Yep, our kindergartners used it too. Our music teacher, I was just noticing someone here had a mini talent show. Our music teacher, actually, we normally have a huge talent show every spring and they couldn't have it obviously. And so they did it on Flipgrid, and everyone who got, I mean, probably who entered, I'm not sure, but they did the talent show through Flipgrid and it was awesome. And they opened it up to the community so anyone could watch it. Not just our students. They just made it a wide open. It was really cool. Videos of their thoughts, that works really, really well. Book reviews, that's another good one. I am going to take you real quick because it looks like there's a few people that haven't used it. So I'm going to just show you what it looks like if you haven't seen it, because there's a couple of you that haven't. And if you have, if you want to go grab a drink or a snack really quick, you can. I'm going to jump over to my teacher dashboard in a second. I was just reading about the science or the Spanish class. Oh, I bet it works awesome for Spanish because they can speak to you and it records them. Did you want to talk about that at all, or just let us read your post-it?
Sure. Yeah, the Spanish exam was changed because of the pandemic to go all to verbal communication with no reading and writing included. So I had to find a way to, and I didn't have really much synchronous class time with them. And so this was a great way to give them instructions in a video in Spanish, have them respond, have me give feedback in a video, and just keep it all in verbal communication.
Yeah, it is incredibly powerful. I was in another session and I told them if I could only have one tool, that would be my pick because it's so versatile. You can do everything in it. You can add documents, you can add videos, you can, it does everything. I don't use it for everything, but if I had to, I could. I like the math problems idea too. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the way you were using it in math? This is cool.
Yeah, we had a situation where I had a group this year that was, most of them were pretty developmentally behind their peer groups. But then I also had that couple of ones that were like so far above you could never keep them challenged. So I put those up like weekly or, a couple times a week. And in the library of activities, you can go and search. There's all kinds of things that you can just put on there that are already made. And one of the things I love for math is the would you rather questions. So like, would you rather have 5 quarters and 2 pennies or 15 dimes and 5 nickels? And then the kids would work that out and figure out which one they wanted, and then they would explain what they would pick and why. So that was just one thing, but they had them for all those. And then I also used it with like, one of the things that was missing was that social interaction piece. And so I would put up, just a fun prompt. Like one time I said, do something silly with your family or tell us a joke or, something like that. And that one, was fun. I didn't get 100% participation, but I think too, it was a newer choice. And so the kids were fine with it, but the parents, it was funny because the parents would be like, well, I don't know how to use this. And I'm like, just ask your child. But they wouldn't do that. I think that had to do with my grade level more than anything. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll share real quick in a second here, but I love that. I think that's awesome. The would you rather. I did would you rathers, but I didn't do them with math. And so I love that idea. And I also saw here that the teacher candidates, so maybe they were using it with student teachers, sharing, I'm guessing that's what that is. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it you can use it for professional development. I actually have a professional development grid as well. That's what I was going to have you do today, but I thought you guys had already practiced this morning. So
yeah, so I was the one using it with teacher candidates, so just sharing the experiences that they were having in the classroom with their cooperating teachers, and then being able to kind of find those commonalities, or then branch off and start to do more of a brainstorming feedback with, you know, maybe, oh yeah, I experienced this, but here's an idea, that type of thing. And then it kind of lent itself to something like Jamboard, where they could then brainstorm ideas to challenges that they were experiencing and that kind of thing. So yeah, knowing they weren't alone in what was going on as well.
yeah, so versatile from kindergarten to, you know, professional development. It is the tool to have. I'm going to jump really quick for those of you that haven't seen it. I'm going to go to Flipgrid, to my grid real quick here. And just show you briefly. I'm not going to go through it because you can do that. I have some middle school stuff. I have our 3rd grade remote learning. This grid is actually all 3 of our 3rd grade classes. Because our students didn't have each other to play with at recess, there were students that they wouldn't have seen during this remote learning, even though they're with us in our own classes. So we did a few things together with all of our 3rd grade classes where we all answered questions and visited. And so they could see their friends that they didn't always get to see. Every single day I did morning meeting. And so you can see I have a morning meeting from every day, and I'm just gonna click into one of them. I'm not even gonna, this would be all of the responses that I got back. And then I left them a video every day, checking in with them and asking them a question for the day. Monday, we kind of just went over what we did over the weekend. Wednesday was Would You Rather, and I just grabbed a card out of the Would You Rather game and used that. Fridays, we told a joke, but they could go to these at any time and chat with each other, and then they could leave each other comments. So mine was for the social emotional piece, but I love the math and the Spanish and, you know, those other examples that you guys have. So here you have your grids, and then inside your grids, you'll have topics. This is my professional development one that I've been doing with Belgrade teachers. And then when you click inside there, you have all their responses. If I show you from their end, let me show you really quick. You saw this morning what it looks like. And I wanted to click into that link, except now I need to go back in here. Hold on one second. Just so you can see what it looks like from the student side. Man, they just did a bunch of changes in here. Oh, I haven't been in here for probably a week or two, and I know they did some changes. So actually, I don't think I'm going to be able, oh, here we go. There it is. I couldn't find it for a second. So this is what it looks like. It used to be a giant green and white plus sign, and now it's a video. And I'm not going to play any videos because I'm sure none of these teachers would want that. But all of these teachers are in the same professional development grid, and they can get ideas from each other. So it's really, really cool. The part that they were sharing, I'm trying to see if I can get back out to, if you go, I can't even remember what it's called. Yeah, they have all kinds of ideas for you as a teacher. You just set up your grid. You can decide if the kids reply to each other or only you, but it's really powerful. Did anyone have any other things they were sharing in the chat about Flipgrid?
Another thing you can, at least I think we could, make it that it had to be approved before it was posted, which might be handy depending on the content.
Yep, that's called moderating. And so if you moderate, like there are certain grids I moderate and some that I don't. When I ask the students a question and I want an answer back from them, like a correct answer, then I moderate it because I don't want their friends hearing the wrong answer, their classmates. And then I wait till they all answer and see if they have the right answer. If they don't, I kick it back and they do it again. And then eventually I start letting those go and people can see the right answers. And those kids that, you know, I don't think it's cheating, but they can get that extra boost by hearing over and over and over the correct answer. And yes, those are the ones that are moderated. Thank you for bringing that up.
Deanna, does Flipgrid automatically link to Google Classrooms?
Yes, well, here's how you do it. So when you have a flip, let me use my student one instead. I don't want, these poor teachers probably don't want to be out on the web here. Wait, get out. Okay, there we go. So when I'm in my, in here and I add a topic. So each time you add a new response, I guess you could say a response, it's called a topic. So you can have as many grids as you want. They're like file folders. And then inside those file folders, you'd have all these topics. And those are basically your responses that you want. So when I create that, I can put in a title, I can put in a video, or I can add a story or a Adobe Spark, and I can also ask students to attach things to this when they're done with it. It's pretty amazing. But really quick, the where was I going with this? I was looking for the link. Oh, let me just go back one. I'll just grab one that's already done. So when you already have one that is made, grab one of these, okay? All you do is copy the link right here, this code, or as a teacher, oops, I'm jumping all over. They just redid their whole platform. I can hit share on any of these, and it gives me this code. I would copy this code and I would put it as a link in Google Classroom. And then when they click on that, it takes them to Flipgrid. And then they just give their response. There's no logging in, there's nothing. It's all seamless. So I hope that answers your question. So yes, it does. Basically, you put the link in. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and I'm actually not going to go over Google Classroom Ask a Question. It's a really good way to get feedback from your students, but I went over it in the last session and we're kind of getting close on time. We'll come back to it if we have extra time when we're done. Basically, if you use Google Classroom, you can create a question and then you can let other kids see the answers to students' questions, or you can make it just for you. So basically you can ask them, you can quiz them almost in there if you wanted to, or ask them a question. You can do multiple choice or short answer. So I'll let you mess around in there. I want to make sure I go over two more things really quick before I, this one's going to take us a little bit of time. So sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Some other ways to get feedback from your students are by using screencasting or voice recording. And there are two voice recorders that I like to use. One is called just voice recorder. You just type it in. The other one is called Vocaroo. And sorry about that. Vocaroo is really easy. I kind of went over it in my last session for those of you who are already here. Sorry about that. But all you do is record it and it immediately saves it in your Google Drive. If you're on a PC or a MacBook, you can download it. But for those students on Chromebooks, it'll automatically save it right there. And you've got the student's voice. This would probably work really well for music recordings as well, since we have a music teacher in here. And also the voice recorder works really, really well for that. Both of those, they're my two favorites. Another way for them to capture their work and turn it into like a production is by using a screen recording application. So my favorite is Screencastify, but there's Screencast-O-Matic, there's Loom, there's all kinds of them. And I'm going to show you what you can do with that. I'm not actually going to show you how to do it today. I'm just going to kind of give you the teaser on what you can do with it. And then if you're interested, you can either hit me up and I can send you some stuff, or you can kind of dig in there on your own. But I've done this with 4th, fifth, and sixth graders, and it works awesome. And it is the coolest feedback from your students. It's one of my favorite ways to archive what they are learning. Yes, Vocaroo. Do you want me to put a link in there for you, or do you have a link to the slide deck, Alicia? It's VOC. Here, let me just do this. There you go. Just Google it. It'll pop up. Oh, and I missed that one about Flipgrid back there. Sorry. But yeah, the link works really well for me. So maybe you might have been, I don't know if it was the right link or maybe it was glitchy. So cool. All right. So back where we were. This is one of my favorite things to share. And actually, I'm going to have to take off my headphones because you won't be able to hear this work. So we were studying a few years ago. I use this example because it's pretty cool. And the student minutes and write all this stuff. And so what I had the students do, can you guys hear me? Hold on a second.
Yep, we can hear you now. There was a moment where it was a little bit difficult.
Okay, sorry, it's back. Okay, so wait a minute. Is it, are you getting feedback?
A little bit. You both are two computers going, don't you?
Yeah, but I have the volume off.
Well, it's better now.
Okay, fine. It's just so I can see where I'm at here. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
We're back on.
Yep.
Okay, I just had a quick one that said that they couldn't hear me. Okay, so what we did instead of writing a report and doing all this stuff about our solar system was that we wrote parodies about the solar system, and we could choose a gas planet, or we could choose a now I'm just losing my train of thought. Sorry. So anyway, I'm going to take you to the playlist of what the students created using a screencasting tool. So I created a shared playlist, and the students uploaded their videos that they had recorded, and we did this all in class so I could walk through it with them and help them out. This one's a pretty funny one. I'm going to pause it for a second here. Can you hear it?
Saturn is a jewel of our solar system, second largest planet in the galaxy, with rings made of ice and rocks far and wide. We're a system source with many mysteries. Saturn is a massive ball of mostly hydrogen, like my little gas giants, they fool me. They think my plan is fancy, but there's nothing over here. They're always staring at me.
Okay, I'm not going to play it forever, but there's a whole playlist here, and I believe you have a link to some of them are better than others. I'm not going to lie, they're not all perfect, but what this allowed the students to do was show me what they learned in another way. And so they wrote these parodies, and not only did they write them, but I bet they sang them like 50 times while they were trying to record them. So they made their, using Google Slides, they basically made the karaoke writing version of their song. Because to me, it was super important that they had it written down and that they knew their facts and they had certain requirements that needed to be in the parody. And then what they did is they just used the screencasting tool to record them singing and forwarding the slides to the karaoke version of their song. So I have a playlist of, I don't know how many of these, I can't even remember. This one has 17 songs on it. And I'll tell you what, every kid listened to all the other groups, and I had them do it in groups, parodies. So it's, you know, it's another way to just get that material into their head and have them give it back to you in a totally different form. If you're interested, if this looks super confusing and overwhelming, but you're interested, let me know, because I can either at the end of the session, if we have time, walk through it, or I can send you some stuff or visit with you online about it. I feel like the link is in the slide deck. Do you have the slide deck, Alicia?
The slide deck is in the chat. There should be a link
Probably
to
way,
it.
way up at the top. Yeah.
I just stuck it in again recently, and so just a few lines up, it should be there also.
Why don't I just stick this in here too? That's the playlist. I think you should be able to get to it. It's on my teacher channel. Another thing that I did with students was the water cycle. So this is also on my playlist here. Let me move this bar, it keeps getting in my way. So I had the same thing, but this was with my 5th grade students that were doing, I did technology with them. And their science teacher was working on the water cycle with them. And so him and I got together and I said, hey, I want to do a technology thing with them. What's your topic? And so and I don't know if you'll be able to hear these, they're kind of quiet. They were supposed to create, the coolest thing is that now these kids are 8th graders actually that did these. So let me see if I can turn it up just a tiny bit, but I don't want it to give feedback.
On my water cycle too. This starts with the lake here, and then it'll evaporate. It'll form into clouds and create condensation, and then it'll travel over, and then it may create precipitation, which includes rain, snow, sleet, hail, and whatever else there is. And then
okay, so you get the idea. I also have a very big long playlist of 5th grade water cycles, and that's on there too. Obviously, some are better than others, but we learned how to use Google Drawing, and they practiced talking their way through the water cycle. I don't know how many times that they must have done it. And they created their own images. I didn't some kids wanted to just grab one that was already made. And I said, no, you got to make your own. So that was part of the project, was learning how to do it and then screencasting. So, and this is something kids really, once they know how to do this, they can do this at home if they have a Chromebook at home, if you guys end up going remotely. But a really awesome way to capture their voices and their work, and still getting feedback from them. Do we have any questions yet? Okay, cool. Would love to know. Okay, well, we might have to I probably should have just done a session on screencasting. I never know what people want. The last one, I won't go into too much detail. This was a constellation project, and the students each had to do a science constellation, and so they had to create a slideshow, but we just didn't stop there at the slide deck. We went ahead and recorded the screencasts of their voice giving the presentation, which is awesome for those kids that don't want to jump up in front of the whole class and stand there and give a presentation. And how many of us want to sit there and watch all these presentations and take up all that precious class time? So another really awesome way to get feedback from them. Any questions, comments, ideas? Have you done this? Have you seen it used anywhere else? Any feedback?
Where am I? Hold on.
One of the things we did is we used Screencastify to walk through step by step for parents if there was a video of how to access like Clever or something like that. It was a reminder for the kids, but also teaching the parents. And so Screencastify and things like that work really well for showing, but it's not what you're talking about here, but it was a great use of that kind of program.
Well, to be honest with you, screencasting every teacher needs a few little tools in their tool belt, and one of them is screencasting. You've got to be able to screencast something on your screen, give directions, or share something. It's one of the musts, you know, along with a way to get video feedback, or an LMS like Google Classroom. But it's super important. And I'm glad that you guys are using them for tutorials, but we can also shift our ideas and use those with students, because I'm going to tell you honestly, students are way better at screencasting than teachers are. My students were much better than me. And then, you know, they get in there and they're like, oh yeah, like and subscribe and blah, blah. I mean, I didn't show you the one. I had a student at the end of his that was giving his whole YouTube spiel, but like they live in front of the camera, and their face isn't necessarily there, but they're really good at it. And so if you want, I don't have, the only two things that I didn't really cover were the Google Classroom. And I mean, I have heaps of stuff, obviously, but why don't I show you guys really quick? It'll probably take me 5 minutes to run you through how to screencast using Screencastify, because I have that extension on this. I'm going to move my chat way down here in the corner, and I'm going to go ahead and open up go back up to the top of this. I'm going to just use this slide deck as what I'm going to screencast. So what we did with the students is they all have to get the extension Screencastify or Screencast-O-Matic. If you notice up here on the top, I have a whole lot of extensions, and these aren't even all my extensions. Over here, there's a little puzzle piece. On the right, if you just click on that, you can see this is all of my extensions here. And some of them have a little blue tack. That means they're pinned to my bar, and some of them don't. I don't use all of them all the time, so they're not on my toolbar, but the ones I use the most are. Okay, so my Screencastify extension is right here. And all you have to do is go to the Chrome Web Store. I'll take you there really quick. This is where you get all of the goodies, okay? Unless it's an add-on. Go to the Chrome Web Store and you would type in Screencastify. Now this is free. All of you can use Screencastify for free. You get 5 minutes free with Screencastify. And that's how I used it with my students, was because it was free and we had a 5-minute limit. So you just type in Screencastify, and there it is. If you want to use Screencast-O-Matic or Loom, they work well too. Loom is really cool because it puts an extension in your email, and you can record a video right in your email and shoot it off. So you might want to look into Loom if you're really into screencasting. But Screencastify works great for me. So what I do is I need to have my slide deck up, or I need to have the tab open that I want to record, or whatever it is I want to walk through or share with somebody. And then I would go up to this little Screencastify extension and, oh geez, I'm not signed in. Hold on. Jeepers. Okay, I'm going to sign in so that I can use the tool. Take me 1 second. You're going to run into this a lot when you log in and log out and all of those good things. I haven't been logged into this account for a little while. So I'll try one more time. And what? I just signed in. One more time. See what happens. Okay. Did it work this time? Okay, yep, I'm in now. All right, back to my slide deck. Click on the Screencastify, and then you may need to make sure that your microphone is working. You need to make sure you give access to this. So you're going to click here, allow, close this out, and then it's going to have me do this all over again because I haven't allowed all these permissions. And there are a few drawing tools you can use. You can tell my microphone's working because the little green is going up and down. You have options of using just the webcam if you want to video just yourself, or you can film your desktop, which will be your screen and your mouse. I would always do the desktop. If you choose the browser tab, you can't click in and out of too many things, or it won't record all of it. So I always choose the entire desktop. If you want to see more options, you can turn off the countdown. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to tell it that I want to record my screen. So it's going to go ahead and open up a new window here, and I'm going to do my entire screen, not an application window. And I have to select. This part gets hard. Some people forget. You have to click on this screen and get the blue outline, and then you can share your screen. So now what's going to happen, as soon as I hit share, it's going to count down and it's going to be recording. So now it's recording me and I'm telling you all about my slide presentation. I would hit present. I usually have the kids wait quietly and for a couple seconds so they trim if they need to. But then you can walk your way through this presentation and talk about whatever you want to talk about. And then when I'm all done, I go back up to the top of my extension here and I'm just going to tell it to stop recording. The nice thing about Screencastify is that, and you can see it's running through my video right now, this will link to your Google Drive and your classroom. So you get a 5-minute limit, that's all you get, and you don't get a whole lot of editing options, but you can publish it straight to YouTube, you can share it to your classroom, you can download it, or you can save it in your Google Drive. And that's it. That's how fast. I just made a video and I could shoot it off and do whatever I want with it. And I don't have the volume on right now. It's muted. But that's how quick and easy it is to capture your screen and your voice. If you want to, I didn't do this, but you can put your little picture in the corner. You can embed your webcam. That option, I'm going to trash this really quick. Just delete it. But here's what, I have all kinds of screencasts in here. Here's what it looks like when you embed your webcam. You just click it on, boom. And there you've got your, you'll see when I hit record, it pops up down here in the corner. I have stuff going everywhere. So then you'd have your webcam down here. It's crazy to think that my camera can be working in 2 different applications at the same time. Okay, that was really fast. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, Loom is it. That's right. Alicia, that was a crash course, but at least it might introduce you to it. Looks like some other people obviously used it. Does anyone want to come off mute and say anything at all? Comments? Crickets?
I used it a lot for like when my parents were trying to figure out how to get onto the different sites. So I did tutorials of how to get onto Seesaw and how do you add something to Flipgrid and that kind of thing. So that way that helped cut down the number of phone calls I got, except for the people that couldn't follow the directions on the tutorial. But you know, that was like 75% less phone calls. So that's one way I used it.
Yeah. And then who was it? Mike, did you say you used it for tutorials as well?
No, it definitely looks like something I will use. I could have used it this last quarter when we first had our, our COVID stuff take over. But no, it looks simple enough that I'll be able to utilize it.
Oh, it was Willow, sorry. Willow,
That's okay.
She used it. Willow, did you make them for parents or students or?
I didn't actually make them, but I know that as a district, we work together in teams to teach parents how to use Google Classroom or how to maybe submit an assignment, do different things like that. And then they were just on the website. So if they ever got stuck and couldn't get a hold of someone, they were able to go on there, watch it, and then limit the phone calls.
Yeah, it's very powerful for teachers and students and whoever. So cool. Well, I guess that pretty much wraps up in a nutshell all the different ways to get feedback from your students. It doesn't have to be, obviously, you know this, you've been teaching, you know you don't have to sit down and use paper pencil, or you don't have to use a Google form. Those are all good ways of getting assessments or feedback from students. But we can also get it in video and audio and fun ways. I know that you've probably had students act things out for you in the past, or, you know, just all different ways to get feedback from them. So thanks for hanging in there and participating and commenting. And it was fun to be here today. If anyone has any other questions or comments, I'll hang on for a little bit if you'd like. Otherwise, you can check out. I think there is a session this afternoon, the closing session, right? Is it this afternoon or next? On the schedule, I didn't actually look. I feel like there's one more. Is there a wrap?
Tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow, okay. Okay, perfect. All right, you're welcome. Thank you. It was awesome to see you all today. I hope you're having a fun day.
Thank you, everyone.
See ya.